Today for us to start doing some standing and some fighting to back that
up. The NCAA has always been held as a real hard to navigate world for black athletes because you got to go to school for 4 years or less if you're good enough, and you don't get paid a dime. And you making money for these schools, and you making money for these shoe companies and these brands, and you can't get paid $1, but you can go to these pro teams if you make it. And so now with the technology and with the way that you can go to G leagues or junior leagues and junior colleges and stuff like that, should amateur athletes, find more ways to avoid the NCAA? Because they get exposure. I'm sorry, I meant to say that. They do get exposure from the NCAA and the teams and the brands that they get associated with. But, is it time for amateur athletes, young dudes, to start thinking, maybe I should just go ahead and escape the world of NCAA stuff?
Well, I mean, I think that, it's made an opportunity for a lot of, young African Americans, right, as far as being able to play, show their skills to some of these talent scouts and stuff, in order for them to play professional ball. At the same time, I think that, there needs to be some sort of, stipulations. Like if they're making money for these, these companies and stuff like that, then their mama need to get a check. You know what I'm saying? They ain't grown. Their mama grown. You know what I'm saying? What's going on there? I think that
they made that illegal though. They made that to be something they look at the student is getting compensation, and they don't even do that.
That's what I'm saying. That's whack.
Bottom line, if you make money off something, you need to pay it. Bottom line, it's like women and men sports. Women can't get paid equally to men because they can't sell out the arenas that men sell out.
Right.
So bottom line, if you making money, you can get a real job and get paid at 18 anywhere else. Then we all do work studies on campus.
Right.
Weren't we making money while we were going to school? So why not in sports?
Right.
Why not in sports? If you're making money off them, because that's how the wheel works. If I'm making money,
need to have a work
then you make money.
They can always be like Jackie Moon. Jackie Moon was playing. He was the coach. He was the owner. You know what I'm saying? They could be like Semi-Pro. Y'all ain't never seen that movie Semi-Pro.
Oh,
I did, but I don't remember it. Now that you brought it up, I did, but I don't remember.
Will Ferrell, the dude that was the coach, he was everything. He was the coach, he was the owner, and he was the player. You know what I'm saying? That's how the WNBA got to be. They got to go work the cameras. They got to they got to go do the speeches and everything at the end. Everything.
The players, yep.
But I mean, honestly, I think that it's hard to live in a world where you risk getting hurt. And you're supposed to get a education and whatnot, but at the same time, there's no guarantees. And your family, if some of these kids, they have a talent that is generational wealth building, and they taking years out of that time to go make money for the machine in a way where the machine is supposedly promising them that they'll be able to make that money back in their future, but they might not.
Right, and check it, a lot of them don't make it.
Exactly.
That's a broken promise.
It's such a broken promise. You know how many brothers, a lot of us got uncles of man, almost went pro. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't. You know what I mean? And they're part of that crew that got there but didn't make it there. And it's so many, it's such a little amount of brothers that are chosen, for something like that. It's almost worth if you have other talents, I think it's good to, possibly look into those other talents. You know what I'm saying? If you're somewhat good, definitely look into other talents. Don't lose your day job. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I was one of those athletes who had NFL dreams but wasn't really ready, but I will say that I started selling drugs in college. Nate knows that. I started hustling in college. And why I took those routes is because I was playing sports. There was no way to possibly maintain a job, play sports, and be a student, get good grades. It was impossible. You wouldn't have no time. They don't even, whenever you're not in practice, you have a meeting. When you're not in meeting, you have work study. There's no way. But being that I knew when I realized I wasn't the athlete to do that, and they wasn't giving me no money, I found another way to make income to just get me through college the easy way, period. Because I didn't want to work and go to school. It's not that I couldn't work and go to school, but I didn't want that much pressure. And once I started doing it, it became easier. And it made all life easier to doing like that's my fun. The funniest of my story is I'm from New York. I had a rough upbringing, all that. I didn't start doing illegal activity till college in Florida
Right. That's the
at
irony.
FAMU.
I know so many cats that actually got into the shit, into the street after they went to college. And the community always act like, going to college is where you escape the street. So
Not FAMU. Ask
Was-
everybody who was a rattler. Not
you
the
doing
rattlers.
if you in the NCAA, man, you working hard, you putting money. It take money to eat right? It take money to go to the gym. It take money to do everything that you need to do if you're trying to be a pro athlete, man. So like that ain't nothing to play with, bro. Like and then you gotta win. Like forget all that regiment of what we're talking about just to be consistent. You actually gotta be on a performance based like measuring stick where if you don't win and outbeat your competition on your team and beat the other team you're playing, you ain't gonna even get looked at as even important.
Yo, it sounds like we're describing slavery right now. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if we didn't say anything
About money.
right, it sounds like we're talking about slavery.
Yeah.
Well, NCAA is compared to slavery a lot, and that's the reason why people are trying to say that the NCAA is the most evil organization when it comes to the sports world because of the way that it picks people's dreams up. Like, teams get bolstered by having these big programs, D1, D2 schools, and then they have students that they don't educate, students that they don't really put through a rigorous like training program, even in the sport. Like if you come in and you're a phenom, sometimes you don't even get training in what you are meant to do when you get to the next step. So it's kind of
quarterbacks.
Yeah, exactly.
Black
They don't get coached.
They got
just
all the talent. They got better arms. Michael Vick had a bigger arm. Michael Vick talent-wise should have been Tom Brady, but there was something Tom Brady was learning in here that they wasn't teaching Vick in here. That's the only thing that separates them because there's nothing else that you could say. Not speed, not power, Vick had it all, but there was something missing in here, and that's because the quarterback has to know every position on the field. So somewhere you got to learn some type of analytical, logical type of in here that I believe they're not really teaching, quarterbacks from the inner cities and stuff like that. But if you from like a fancy program, then you'll learn it,